Will we ever see Kiefer Ravena return to the PBA?
Yes. The question is when.
From buzzer beaters to blockbuster trades, this is your front row seat to the NBA. Here at Pinoy Step Podcast, we go deep into every play, every move, and the insider stories you won't hear anywhere else. All the highlights, all the hot takes, walang mintis. This is the Pinoy Step Podcast. Powered by the Arena Plus Sportsbook. Support your team by watching and playing at arenaplus.ph. Dito ang home court ng tunay na Pinoy fans.
The NBA game has truly become international, and here in Asia, the level of competition and the opportunities for pro ballers has never been greater. But where does the Philippines stack up in all of this? And will a homegrown Filipino ever make it to the NBA? Pag-uusapan natin yan dito sa isang special episode ng Pinoy Step Podcast. What is up, everybody? My name is Anton Rojas, welcoming everybody to another episode of the Pinoy Step Podcast, brought to you, of course, by the #1 sportsbook app in the Philippines, Arena Plus. But this is no ordinary episode because today we will be welcoming on the show a young man who I've known since he was tearing it up in high school. If you look at his Wikipedia page, if you Google him, it's going to be very difficult to introduce him, but I will just go about it in a way that I never have before in any of my previous interviews. He is the one person in the social media era who truly had the balls, despite all the odds, to take a shot at making it to the NBA. A lot of good things happening with this man right now, and we welcome him for the first time here on the show, Mr. Kiefer Ravena.
Appreciate the intro, Anton. Thank you for having me. It's finally glad to be here sa Pinoy Step. I've been tuning in with the pod, and it's nice to see you guys break down the game. And I'm just excited for this episode, talk about basketball and talk about life. It's been a while since we've seen each other, so I'm pretty stoked to be here with you in Pinoy Step.
All right, so since the show is called Pinoy Step, Keith, marami kasi ang nagsasabi sa akin na ikaw talaga ang nag-originate ng Pinoy Step dito sa Pilipinas. Dati sidestep lang, Eurostep, pero itong Pinoy Step, which has gained popularity all over the world, ikaw daw ang originator. Ano masasabi mo doon?
Siguro if there's something that I would really take credit for, it's something na ito yung Pinoy Step. Say what you want, pero actually dalawa kami nito.
Okay.
For everybody, kaming dalawa ni Mike Tolomia.
Mike Tolomia
Right. Should also get the credit kasi ever since siguro high school kami, grade school, high school kami, ginagawa na namin siya.
Okay.
Of course, wala pang mga video noon, wala pang social media, wala pang mga kung ano-anong mga basketball pages to hype it up. Pero me and Mike has been doing it for quite some time now. Of course, it grew popularity as the move is very effective in the global game. It's not like you talked about in your intro, basketball being worldwide. Now it's really just about time that this move is being credited worldwide.
Kiefer, naalala mo pa ba yung thought process mo when you first did the Pinoy Step? Or did it just come naturally and, pwede pala yun, pwede pala ako fumake while taking an extra step?
Actually, nung mga unang times na ginagawa ko siya, I would catch the referees off guard and call it a travel every now and then. Minsan may mga ibang referees na tinatawagan ako ng traveling. Tapos, nung bata naman, syempre, hindi ka naman tinuruan magreklamo or, just continue playing. After that, okay. And then, the more I get to do it more often, lalo na nung tumatanda na ako from grade school to high school and up until college, people see how effective and the right technique to it for it not to be called a travel. So nakasanayan ko na din siya, eventually gain traction when it comes to being a legal move. And yeah, I'm very happy that everybody's doing it right now.
So ayan guys, we heard it straight from one of the originators. He was humble enough to credit Mike Tolomia as well. Pero we've all been talking about it. We've all been wondering, sino ba at saan ba nanggaling ang Pinoy Step? Alam na natin mula mismo kay Kiefer Ravena.
Yes.
Pinag-uusapan ng mga international commentators. It even has its own Wikipedia page. pinasikat mo talaga, pare.
Wow.
Grabe, ibang klase.
Lahat tayo dyan. Lahat tayo kasama dyan.
Yeah, when people talk about the Pinoy step, they know it came from here in the Philippines.
Yes.
All right, so now that we have set the tone para sa ating episode, we will be talking about how the NBA has truly gone international sa pagpapatuloy ng Pinoy Step Podcast.
Quick break from the conversation. But if you're really into sports like us, level up na ang suporta. Punta na sa arenaplus.ph and back your team habang live ang game. Mas solid pagsama-sama tayong sumusuporta. Visit now at arenaplus.ph.
Every champion has a story. And behind every success, there's a journey.
Alam mo yung feeling na parang gusto mong sumuko pero lumalaban ka pa rin?
Dahil sa support system, sa passion, at syempre sa sariling determinasyon. Lahat tayo may kwento. And here, we share ours with you.
PB&J is all about the struggles, the wins, and the journey in between. PB&J, Peanut Butter and Jella. Brought to you by Arena Plus Sportsbook. Sama-sama sa arena.
You are still watching and listening to the Pinoy Step Podcast with me, Anton Rojas, and our special guest, the Phenom himself, Kiefer Ravena. Keef, the NBA has truly gone international. As of last season, at least 125 international players were competing in the NBA. And even in the last 6 seasons, walang Amerikano na nag-MVP. It's all been international players. How do you describe this influx of international talent in the highest level of basketball in the world?
Well, I feel like siguro malaking part dito yung style of basketball. Yung nakasanayan ng mga international players na nagiging successful ngayon. As you've said, last 6 MVPs, all international. From Jokic to Giannis to Joel Embiid, nandun sila and really showcasing different styles of basketball mixed with the NBA style. Yeah. May hybrid na yan kung tawagin. And it's just a matter of them being able to adjust easily, fluidly, just like kahit anong klaseng depensa ibato mo or pensa kaya nila talaga. It's because a big part of that is how their foundation of basketball was brought up. Yeah. In Europe, maybe majority, Giannis is Greece, France, Embiid, Jokic, Serbia. Just the foundation of growing basketball, yung basics nandun eh. So parang yun yung hindi mo talaga matatanggal sa kanila. All of them are great pivot players, 2-feet players, both with can move off the ball. Hindi sila masyado ball dominant. When it comes to that, they're really effective in 2 or 3 dribbles when it comes to scoring. So siguro that's why naging effective sila, wherein yung nakasanayan natin na dribble, ISO, pound the ball, 8-10 dribbles before scoring, they can do it in 2 or 3. Siguro kaya yun yung iba doon na parang pwede naman pala eh. Di ba? Kaya naman palang ganun. And I guess that's the biggest adjustment and sa nakikita natin, being accustomed to that style of play 10, 12 years ago. Now that may bagong influx ng mga international players displaying a different style which is just as effective. Yun yung bago sa ating mga mata.
Okay, before I get back to what you just said, yung pound the ball back to the basket, become really effective with that style of play, yung nakasanayan natin, I'll just add something. Hindi na pala 6 MVPs in the past 6 seasons. 7 na. Because
this year.
Shai Gilgeous-Alexander from Canada was recently awarded MVP. So I'll just run down the list. Is SGA, Joker, Embiid, Joker, Giannis, and Giannis. So yun yung mga international MVPs in the past 7 seasons. The last American MVP was James Harden in 2000.
Houston James Harden.
And 18. Oh, ibang klase rin yung Houston James Harden. All right, Keith, going back to what you were saying about yung pound. Recently, Anthony Edwards was eliminated by Shea Gilgeous-Alexander and OKC. 4-1. Dinomine sila, suffocating defense. And it was reported on ESPN that Michael Jordan himself had a chance to speak and impart wisdom to Anthony Edwards. And he told Anthony Edwards that you have to work on your post-up game. And sometimes, sa panahon ngayon, hindi na natin masyado makita yung ganong klaseng laro, yung post-up game. Do you think if Anthony Edwards develops that post-up game that Kobe used to have, that Michael Jordan used to have, Hakeem Olajuwon, magkakaroon ng shift in terms of the way the game is gonna be played?
Well, I feel like pag nakarinig ka ng ganong term, yun. And of course, during that time, maybe in the 80s, the 90s, the three-point shooting wasn't really the most important factor in a basketball game. It was old school, throw it down to the post. If you have a big threat, not even pick and rolls, not much, but really more of a system, a triangle, a flex, a stagger screens from different systems in basketball. Maybe that's why Michael Jordan asked Anthony Edwards to develop the post game. Is one, you get to see the defense without taking a live dribble.
Yeah.
Once you're in the post, face up, you get to see everything, survey, double coming, you know where to go, double's not coming, you know how to score. Second, you conserve a lot of energy. You stay in the post, you don't always get pressured. Maybe the most pressure you would get is getting denied. O, 'di ba, na hindi mo makuha yung bola from the block. So siguro that's how I see it with how MJ is coming from.
Yeah.
And now that Anthony Edwards was the number one 3-point he was a 3-point king for this season. 'Di ba? He changed that a lot. So percentage-wise, it wasn't there, but he had the most threes for the whole year, more than Steph Curry. So if there's one way, if that one thing that he would improve, and saying after the post press conference, he said he's gonna be the hardest worker.
Yeah.
And I mean, better be ready NBA next season if Anthony Edwards develops that post game.
Yeah, I feel like the odds of Anthony Edwards becoming MVP next season have just gone up, especially with advice from the GOAT himself, Michael Jordan. Can you imagine, number one 3-point shooter, tapos pag nag-develop pa yan ng post game, grabe, NBA, be ready for Anthony Edwards.
Just to piggyback on that one, nakasama namin si JC, Jordan Clarkson, ng World Cup. And one thing that he described Anthony Edwards was he said, like, how's AAE?
Yeah.
He's like, he's built like a 90s shooting guard. So that was the peak of the 90s shooting guard, body, MJ, physical, everything. And from JC to actually say that, that if he develops a post game, it's going to be really scary for the league.
All right, Kiefer, since you're here, pag-usapan natin yung NBA Finals. OKC nakaabante na. New York and Indiana, at the time of this recording, hindi pa tapos yung serye dahil nanalo pa ang Knicks to force a deciding game number 6. Let's start with OKC. What is your biggest takeaway sa ginagawa ng OKC for them to advance to the finals for the first time since James Harden, Russell Westbrook, and KD were there?
2012. I think, OKC's just been ripe. It's about time. And I think they added the one missing piece, which was Hartenstein from free agency or a trade, something like that. And Sam Presti has done a good job into filling that void of, when Steven Adams left, Serge Ibaka left. Chet Holmgren, we know he has size, but a little too thin when it comes to the playoffs. On the front court. And with Hartenstein coming in there, not ball dominant, just does the dirty work, lob threat, good screener if you have an SGA and Jalen Williams. So I guess that was the biggest thing. They just ripe, and at the same time, they got the missing piece that they've always needed.
So starting 5 ng OKC, Hartenstein from Germany.
Chet
Holmgren and I think it's also very satisfying for SGA's teammates na he's such a humble guy. Sabi niya, I can't score 120 plus points on my own at nakakuha pa sila ng mga Rolex. So that helps when your best player is gifting you with those kinds of things.
If you give me a Rolex, I'll be the first one diving for a loose ball. I'd be behind you every time. You need a screen? Go ahead. I'll be there right on time. Just like the Rolex you gave me.
Bro, it's like the quarterbacks in the NFL, diba? Sina Tom Brady, we hear all about how they gift their offensive line. So ngayon,
true.
SGA is taking a page out of that,
Yeah.
giving the rollies to his teammates. Grabe,
Must be
what a
nice.
player.
Must be nice.
Deserve. All right, let's shift over to the other conference, New York and Indiana. I said on the show, Keith, na yung Indiana, similar siya sa OKC, but they're like OKC light because I feel like pagdating sa takbuhan, yamado pa rin ang OKC. But Indiana is showing some flashes of that and they have their own flavor. What do you think about Indiana and of course New York?
Siguro low-key Indiana, like what you said, that's the best way to describe them. Pesky, young guys who really want it.
Yeah.
And off the record, when we were talking about Indiana, the more we watch Tyrese Halliburton play, the more we appreciate how he's developed from joining the NBA 4 or 5 years ago.
Yeah.
So I feel like nobody really expected him to be this type of player, especially, everybody's saying that he's overrated.
Yeah.
I think he has proven enough, so we have to stop with that argument.
We gotta stop it. We gotta stop that, guys.
Yeah, we have to stop with that argument. But Indiana, all in all, they have their naman sa kanila yung gutom, yung hunger na meron sila with Coach Carlisle at the helm as well. And of course, you got New York. New York is one team who's got the worst end of always coming up short in the playoffs, in the past 5 years. They have one of the best and worst fans when it comes to basketball. I say worst because the pressure is always there when you play, whether or not you have a squad or you're a tanking team of New York. Everybody still expects you to win, unfortunately for them. But now, they're down 3-2, but I feel like the pressure's with Indiana.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Yeah, I feel like the pressure with Indiana, even though everybody thought that the Pacers are the underdogs. But now I think after extending it to a game 6, I think New York just gotta make sure it comes back to the Garden.
Kakasabi mo lang kasi, Kiefer, New York fans, ibang klase yan. So if you're Indiana, the mindset is, wag tayo babalik sa New York.
Oh yeah,
wag tayo
for
babalik
sure.
sa MSG.
Yeah.
Because it's gonna be wild.
Yeah, we've seen it in social media
It's
how
gonna
wild
be
it
wild.
goes.
Did you see that
The guy who got thrown.
Yeah, yung basurahan? Ano yun? Binato ng basurahan? Wild, man. That's crazy. So if you're Tyrese Halliburton and Indiana, you gotta end it in 6. You gotta end it in your house. But
You
yun
have
nga,
to.
like you said, the pressure is there.
Yep.
So closeout games, alam mo to, Keith, that's they always say it's the hardest thing to do.
That's the hardest. It feels like it's just any other game, but game 6, try to close it out at home, which is I feel like it makes it even harder. Because I would say if Indiana goes home to the field house, I don't know if it's called the field house up until now.
It's like Gainsbridge or something like that.
So they changed it. So parang everybody knows in that arena is saying the same things we're saying right now. Just please don't make it back to the Garden. Like imagine 20,000 people with the same thoughts. Diba? Just not saying out loud, but everybody's there. You can feel it. I'm sure you'll be able to feel it when you're there live in person.
All right, Keith, before we move on to our next topic and segment on the show, dito kasi sa Pinoy Step, everybody who came on here gave their predictions. Pero since palapit na tayo sa finals, I just want to get your team. Like, sino yung bet mo na umabot sa finals from the West and from the East bago nagsimula yung playoffs?
Of course, I'm a big Laker fan, and I wanted it to be a Lakers Celtics, typical NBA guy. But now that's not happening, and OKC's there already. I want an OKC Indiana showdown. And which I think is very good for the NBA in general.
All right. So, Kiefer Ravena, you heard it from him. OKC, Indiana. Yan ang dream finals niya sa ngayon dahil wala na yung Los Angeles Lakers. One more thing though before we end this kasi Lakers, how do you envision the next season for Rob Pelinka, LeBron James, and Luka Doncic? How do you see their off-season working out? A lot of people are saying they need a big.
Definitely, they need a big. Well, I hope they be able to re-sign Austin Reeves first. I think Austin Reeves is eligible for a payout. He's been proving himself for the past 2 or 3 years that he belongs in the league. And yeah, if there's one thing that they should get, is a big, most definitely. Post presence, a lob threat, especially with the materials they have. So hopefully next year they get it done.
There you go. Kiefer Ravena's wish list for his Lakers.
Yeah.
Sa pagpapatuloy ng Pinoy Step Podcast, pag-uusapan naman natin ang state of basketball, lalo na para sa mga Pilipino in the Asian region. We'll continue our discussion dito sa Pinoy Step Podcast.
Halftime break? Not really. This is your chance to lock in. Every athlete has one thing in common. Di nila kinaya ng mag-isa. So if you're cheering from home or on the go, ipakita mo ang suporta by visiting arenaplus.ph kasi bawat fan may impact. Catch the games live for free at arenaplus.ph. Basketball is more than just the game. It's the culture, the players, and the stories behind every shot.
Anong pakiramdam na maglaro sa finals?
Paano nga ba talaga ang buhay ng isang pro player?
At anong mga kalokohan ang nangyayari sa dugout?
Lahat yan at marami pang iba pag-uusapan natin dito sa Basketboleros.
Kung mahal mo ang laro, mas lalo mong mamahalin ang podcast na to. Hosted by Ranidel de Ocampo and GB Labrador. Powered by the Arena Plus Sportsbook. Sama-sama sa arena.
You are still watching the Pinoy Step Podcast. Maraming salamat sa lahat ng mga patuloy na sumusubaybay at sumusuporta sa ating show. Whether it is you tune in on Spotify, YouTube, Facebook, TikTok. Maraming salamat. We appreciate the engagement and the support. So once again, we welcome everybody to this special episode. Anton Rojas alongside point guard from the Yokohama B Corsairs. Am I saying that
Yes.
right? B Corsairs. Kiefer Ravena, congratulations,
sir.
man. Just signed another deal. Is it year 4 or year 5 now?
Coming in year 5.
Coming in
Yes,
year 5
coming in
now.
year
Kamusta
5.
naman ang buhay OFW?
Nako, mabilis. And at the same time, you appreciate, yung mga kapwa naming OFW, kung gaano yung journey na pagdadaanan mo talaga every time you're out of the country. But with basketball, we're very blessed. We're very fortunate to be able to do that, playing in one of the best leagues in Asia, and at the same time, doing something that we really love.
Kiefer, at sa lahat ng mga nanonood at nakikinig, if you want to see a behind the scenes of yung buhay ni Manong Kiefer Ravena, just check out his YouTube channel. May kita po ninyo yung bahay ni Kiefer. Simpleng buhay lang. Going to the game. Nagluluto pa ng steak yan. So, if FaceTime fiancé niya si Diana, di ba? So,
Yes,
check
yes.
out his YouTube channel.
Subscribe.
Keith, did you envision this? Like, let's say nung college ka, na one day, ang daming mga Pinoy na magkakaroon ng pagkakataon na makapaglaro as an import in Korea and Japan. Did you see this?
To be honest, one of my dreams talaga was really to play in the NBA, that was the biggest dream, to be the first.
Yeah.
Yun naman ang gusto nating lahat, mauna tayo sa isang bagay na gusto ding makamit ng ibang tao, na maraming tao. And I gave myself a chance. Right after college, I went straight to the States, stayed there for a year, did my due diligence when it comes to training, camps, and things like that. Unfortunately, it wasn't for me, but the dream of playing overseas didn't stop there.
Yeah.
I just wanted to have an opportunity or an opening.
Yeah.
And then during the pandemic, you know, not just with basketball, but the whole world changed.
Yeah.
So I had to find an opportunity. I had to find somewhere where I could still consistently showcase my talent. And my brother opened the doors into playing in Japan as he was the first one. And then everybody just followed. You know, if we talk about opening doors, it has to be, you know, the conversation should revolve around 30 and how he was able to get noticed and really bridge the way for us going to Japan. And with that, we just had to make sure once we're there, we had to make sure that, you know, we're always ready. And laging pagdating sa Asian import, Pinoy kaagad ang naiisip. Kailangan namin ng Filipino when it comes to Asian import. So that's what we want. That's the chip on our shoulders. Not just me, but I feel like together with, you know, my brothers over there in Japan, it's always something that we want to be proud of. You know, pag nakaisip sila ng Asian import, we need the Filipino.
All right. Before we continue our discussion about your fellow Filipinos, brothers, OFWs na nakikipagsapalaran sa Korea at sa Japan, I started my intro with you as saying that you're the one guy in the social media era who had the balls to take a shot at the NBA. And Filipino fans can be brutal. Brother, you were hated on for just trying, but you had the balls to take a leap of faith, take a shot at making the NBA, something, as you said, has never been done. A homegrown Filipino making it to the NBA despite all the odds. Nalayo ka sa pamilya mo. This is right after college. Sabi mo, I'll put my PBA dream on hold first. I'll take a shot. You ended up in the Texas Legends. Describe that journey, Keith. Na yun nga, there were people praying on your downfall. People, of course, your loved ones wanting you to succeed. But hindi biro that you even had the balls to take a shot at doing that.
Yeah, I mean, siguro yun, yung time na yun, that time of life, probably the toughest. Kasi parang naiisip mo na parang gusto ko lang naman maging proud yung mga kapwa mo sa'yo, pero sila pa yung unang humahatak talaga sa'yo na hindi mo magagawa yan. And, you know, a lot of people don't really know, and probably the first time I would actually say this on air or in an interview on a recording. It was really, you know, a few of my closest people who really supported me and myself. A lot of it was really funded by myself. You know, everything there, from plane tickets, from training sessions, traveling domestically in the States, hotels, accommodations. Bukod sa mga tumulong talaga sa akin tulad nila Boss Cesar Wong Chuking, sila Tito Boy Abunda was there, close people, Tita Nini. Sila lang talaga yung tumulong sa akin and naniwala. Wala namang naniwala talaga sa akin eh. And that's one thing that actually made me do it. And I wanted to do it for the people, the few people who believed in me. And that pushed me to be there na makipagsapalaran, kahit mahirap, hindi ka masyado nakapaglaro, hindi ang tagal, ang dami mong naririnig kung san-san. And siguro, to be honest, I never really felt that down up until nung nakapaglaro na ulit ako sa PBA. And then nung pagdating ko sa Japan, dun ko actually na-feel na yung training na ginawa ko nung 2016, which was like 4 or 5 years after. Doon ko lang naramdaman, and doon ko talaga napasalamatan yung mga taong sumuporta sa akin nung nakapaglaro ako internationally. Kasi the game felt really different for me, and allowed me to open my mind into really being a professional, whether or not it's on and off the court. So yun.
Man, respect to you for going through that. Not a lot of people would be willing to pack their bags and invest their own hard-earned money to pursue a dream that is seemingly impossible. But you did it, and I'm sure you have no regrets. And I'm a believer in God sees everything. You may have not achieved that dream of making it to the NBA, but a lot of good things have been happening to you.
Yes, of course.
First Filipino to become a Jordan brand athlete. So I'm a believer talaga in if you put in the work, maski hindi ka nakarating sa goal mo, the original goal, there are other blessings na darating because you put in the work. So respect to you for that. And now, Keith, I'm sure you're very happy na yun, sinabi mo nga, sinimula ni 30. Now, ang dami-dami ng mga iba. Ray Parks also tried in the NBA sa Texas Legends. Same team. Now he's out there in Japan. And ngayon, ang daming nagpo-post sa social media na they signed a new contract. So how happy are you, man, na yun nga, there's an influx of Pinoys in the KBL and the B-League?
Well, nakakatuwa lang kasi syempre parang ito na yung opportunity na inaantay namin, and ito yung opportunity na bakit ba namin ginagawa to? Bakit ba namin ginawa to nung una na ang dali naman sa Pilipinas na lang magstay, it's always convenient, it's always there, family and everything. But to really uproot yourself and go into a culture that's really different, mahirap. Pero ngayon na marami nang nangangarap na, diba, hindi na lang nalilimit yung sarili nila na pangarap kong mag-PBA. Hindi na lang ganun eh. Gusto na rin nila mag-KBL, gusto na nila mag-B-League. Yung iba na magagaling, nakikita natin na, pwede to sa NBA, diba? Yung ganyan. So, yun lang. Yun ang nakakatawa kasi part ka ng process na yun. Diba? Na nagbukas sa mga utak ng mga batang basketball players na gusto, kaya mang mangarap na ng malaki.
And again, Kiefer, dahil nasa Pilipinas tayo, there are those who applaud players who pursue their dream abroad, but also say, what about the PBA? So I think one example here is RJ Abarientos and Dave Ildefonso na naglaro muna abroad. But then now, RJ is in the PBA, a prominent player for Barangay Ginebra, and then Dave Ildefonso na nasa MPBL. So ngayon, yung mga players na nangangarap din na mag-PBA at maglaro abroad, naisip nila, pwede pala yun. Pwede pala ako maglaro muna abroad and then come back here. So your thoughts on that?
Well, ano naman yan eh. Like, it's very subjective. Depende talaga sa'yo yan eh. One thing I would always say is like, overseas is not for everybody. Hindi para sa lahat yan. Minsan, sinasabi ko sa mga bata na wag lang kayong masisilaw sa kung ano man yung binibigay sa inyong offers or ano man yung mga ano nyo when it comes to your contracts. Kasi maraming kasama yan, hindi lang yan yun, di ba? Kaya mo bang maglaro? Namimiss yung pamilya mo, namimiss mo yung girlfriend mo, namimiss mo yung mga kabarkada mo. Birthdays, hindi ka nakakapunta.
Sakripisyo, grabe.
New Year, wala. Kaya mo ba yun? Oo, kasi mahirap yun eh. Lalo na pagdating sa professional, malaki yung investment nila sa'yo. Of course, there's always expectations. Hindi kaya mo bang ipantay yun? And that's always one advice I would give to them. And I would never rain on somebody's parade. If they really want to go overseas, go ahead. Like what you said two names who prime examples of if you don't make it, you know, you could always be a star and you could always thrive here in the Philippines with the leagues that we have over here.
So in line with that, I do have a burning question for you, but I'm going to save it for our next segment. Pero eto muna, the question is still up there. Will we ever see a homegrown Filipino one day make it to the NBA? And I think sa ngayon, if there is one guy who has the biggest chance among all homegrown Filipinos to make it to the NBA, it's Kai Soto. So, being somebody who took his shot, all your knowledge, what can you say about Kai Soto's NBA dream? Because this is something that also, you know, he has been talking about and he's also trying his luck with regards to that.
Well, to answer your first question, will we ever see?
Yeah.
I hope in my lifetime, in our lifetime, that we do get to see somebody play in the NBA with Filipino roots purely.
Yes.
And for me, it will always and still be Kai who will have the biggest chance into making it to the NBA.
7-3.
Diba? I hope that the window doesn't close, doesn't dry up on him. But there's always different routes to where you want to go. Of course, the conventional way is States, aral ka doon, college, you go to the NBA draft, and then you're in the NBA. For some of the European guys, they never went to college in the States, just get drafted, play 1 or 2 years in the Euro League or wherever, their local leagues, join the draft. Some, after high school, they don't want to go to college, they go overseas, play a year, and then join the draft. So marami nang nangyaring ganyan, and so I mean, all hope is not lost for Kai as long as he recovers 200% better from his ACL, and I think yun naman dinadasal natin yung success ng tao. So for me, it will always still be him who will have the biggest shot in the NBA for Filipinos.
I do want to throw this in though. Your brother, Kiefer Ravena, ang layo na nang narating niya. First in Japan, now in Dubai. What about him? Pangarap din ba ni 30 na, if ever the opportunity comes up?
Yeah, pangarap niya naman. Nandun naman yun eh. I think he's just getting a little older now that he's 28.
Man, it's weird that you say that.
Bro. Come on, man. He's 28. And then the first time you covered me, I was a senior in high school.
Now you're 31 years
and
old,
getting
bro.
married too.
I know. So, congratulations in advance, brother. And becoming a dad too.
Yes,
Congratulations.
Thank you. And then, with 30, now that he's in Dubai, I think next year their team is going to the Euro League.
Wow.
They're in talks. I'm not sure if it's confirmed or not. But, he'll be the first Filipino in the Euro League. So I guess that's one success for him as well as another trailblazer for that.
Yeah.
So, whatever happens, he's achieved a lot of things as well in his name.
All right, you see the fire up here on our screen. I think it's about time that we start asking eto mga burning questions natin sa Pinoy Step Podcast. I've been itching to ask these questions. So when we come back, we will have the very first Tell It or Tank It segment dito sa Pinoy Step Podcast.
Okay.
Quick break from the conversation. But if you're really into sports like us, level up na ang suporta. Punta na sa arenaplus.ph and back your team habang live ang game. Mas solid pag sama-sama tayong sumusuporta. Visit now at arenaplus.ph.
You guys are still here with us listening and watching wherever it is you get your podcasts on the Pinoy Step Podcast. Anton Ross alongside the Phenom, Mr. Kiefer Ravena, Arena Plus endorser as well. Represent. At
yes,
eto na nga. Eto na, Kief, yung pinaka-inaabangan ng mga listeners at mga manonood natin. Ang ating bagong segment. First time ever, Tell It or Tank It. So simple lang naman yung ating mechanics dito. Meron po tayo mga baso dito with kalamansi. So yeah, we are about to toast it up here. So bale ang mangyayari, I have a list of burning questions here. Kung sasagutin ni Kiefer yung tanong, ako yung mag-shot ng kalamansi.
Alright.
Pero kung ayaw niya sagutin yung tanong, siya mag-shot ng kalamansi. I don't know kung tama yun. Dapat, brother, ano
ba?
Sagutin mo rin yung mga tanong.
Sasagutin natin yan. Sasagutin ko yan. Hindi ko iiwas lahat.
Okay. Alright. I'm gonna start with the question that I've been dying to ask you. Recently, I saw you watching a PBA game. You were dapping it up with Chris Newsome. And I just had a thought. Kiefer Ravena, 31 years old now, still playing in Japan though. Congratulations on the new contract. But you're about to start your own family.
Yeah.
At syempre, lahat naman tayo mga Pinoy, we want to build a family here in the motherland. Will we ever see Kiefer Ravena return to the PBA?
Well, I think yes. The question is when.
Yeah.
That's the biggest question. So, eventually, my love for the PBA has always been there. I think it's where my basketball roots started. With my dad being a professional basketball player for 13 years, and yun siguro. You'll see me there. It's just a matter of when. Of course, starting a new journey in my life.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, we have to be realistic in planning for the future.
Yeah.
And just see where basketball takes me. But you'll see me there, brother. You'll see me there. So.
Ayan you heard it from Kiefer.
Yeah.
But like, eto you've had some teammates that have had long PBA careers. The ageless Asi Tawalaba, naging teammate
Too
mo.
long.
Belga ngayon, naglalaro pa rin.
Yeah.
How long do you see yourself playing basketball? I mean, you've been playing it your whole life. Grabe, I can only imagine, syempre, I can only imagine like you might have had times na burnout ka na.
Yeah.
Like how long do you see yourself playing basketball?
Like what you said, I'm blessed to still play basketball. Of course, the goal has always been to play as long as your body can.
Until the wheels fall off.
Exactly. And you have ageless Asi, you have Marcelino Huertas just winning the ACB MVP at 44. So there's just numerous examples on where actually there's no limit to your body unless as long as you take care of it and make sure that you're healthy. So for me, the love, the competition, the hunger is always there. I think it's just a matter of winning. I still continue to win if I find the way to win. That's yun yung yun yung motivation ko talaga para makapaglaro ng basketball. So age-wise, I can't really say kung ilan taon yung goal ko talaga kasi di natin alam yan. I just take it a day at a time. As long as nakapaglaro ko ng basketball, sobrang blessed ko na dun.
Alright, so dahil sinagot ni Keith yung tanong, I'm taking the first shot of
Imagine,
calamansi.
it's just vitamin C.
Yeah, man.
It's good for your body.
Bottoms up. Okay, one down. We still got four more. Kailangan maubos yan.
more.
Eto, pre. Ito naman, something outside of basketball.
Okay naman.
Ginamit mo na ba ever, Kiefer Ravena, yung status mo bilang player to get yourself out of trouble? Yung mga tipong nahuli ka ng MMDA. Hindi ka kilala ng
well, actually, ano ba to? Siguro hindi ko siya ginamit. Kasi nahuli ako, beating the red light. I was there, caught red-handed. Stopped on the side, tapos binaba ko yung bintana ko. Sir, beating the red light kayo. And then, okay po sir, ito, ticket. Padam na ng license.
Yeah.
Then parang nag-double look ata yung enforcer sa akin. Tapos, sir, may laro ba kayo? Saan kayo pupunta? Wala kuya, pauwi na ako. Sige, mag-ingat na lang kayo sa susunod. So binalik niya sa akin yung lisensya without giving the ticket. So I don't know if I used that. Kasi hindi ko naman sinabi na, ako si Kiefer, kuya, baka pwede naman.
Yeah. You did not. And I feel like that happens a lot, Keith. I feel like that happens a lot.
But yeah. To answer the question, no, I have never used myself purposely.
Wow.
Purposely na to get away from things.
Galing.
Yes.
Props to you, man.
Pag sila lang nakapansin.
Okay.
Yeah.
Man, you gotta take some shots before this episode is over. Hihirapan ko na.
You have to.
Hihirapan ko na.
I have to have burning questions, bro.
Out of the box. Out of the box.
Yan.
Ito,
I have to have burning questions.
Okay. Okay naman. I don't mind the calamansi. Okay.
It's good for us.
Ito, pre. Para sa akin, ha. Kasi, sinasabi ng mga analysts, sina Charles Barkley, Shaquille O'Neal, Ernie Johnson, Kenny Smith, that LeBron James is the most scrutinized and most under the microscope player in history. And because of that, he has experienced more pressure than even Michael Jordan. But here in the Philippines, if there is a LeBron James na naka-experience ng sobrang daming pressure, criticism, paninira, but he's still here doing his thing, tinanggap niya lahat yon, ikaw yon, pare. Keep. Man.
Unfortunately.
Bilib ako sa'yo. You're like, if Chot Reyes, and he says this proudly, he's the most hated man in Philippine sports. Ikaw, you're probably sometimes the most hated guy in Philippine basketball.
Yeah.
So, marami kang pinagdaanan, pare. All the hate online when you wore the Jordan 4 Manilas and you were photographed, binatikos ka. When you were unexpectedly banned by FIBA.
Yeah.
I can't imagine how those was it 19 months without basketball?
18 months.
18 months without basketball.
18 months.
My goodness, pare.
Yeah.
I always say this when, as a journalist, 'di ba? Hindi ko maiwasan that even though mga kaibigan ko kayo, I do have to report on this. But lagi ko na lang sinasabi na hindi niyo po alam yung mga pinagdadaanan ng ating mga athletes. They're also human beings. So at the end of the day, just try to be more understanding and kind, because yun nga, you don't know how things are if you were in their shoes.
Yeah.
So at the end of the day, man, I'm just proud of you, and
I appreciate it.
bilib ako sa'yo na talagang tinanggap mo lahat yon.
Yeah.
Yeah. For me, ikaw talaga, if there was one player na ang daming batikos and talagang scrutinized on social media, man, but you're still here.
Yeah.
You're still here. And that's the most important thing. Okay, we're down to our last two burning questions. I don't know. Okay, ito. I don't know if this is probably not hard, or maybe it might be. What's the one regret that you have in your life? Now, one moment that, man, I messed up with that. I wish I could go back in time and fix it for the better. Give me one. Give me one. I mean, I'm sure there might be a lot you're thinking of.
Siguro if I could take it back, it's the year that I got hurt for Ateneo.
Okay.
So it was my junior year when I tore my ankle right before the season started. Siguro kasi parang it's the way I got hurt, and at the same time, I felt like coming into that season, it was the start of myself knowing how hard I should work to be at the top. Parang yun yung turning point ko after the 5 beat. Everybody graduated. Greg, Nico, Bacon, Kirk, Eman, Oping, those guys. Zags. And it was basically my team for Ateneo that year. And I really worked my butt off from training, working out. And then all of a sudden, it was just gone right before the season started because I tore my ankle. Siguro yun. Siguro kung may isang bagay na babalikan ko, I would have been a lot more careful and set my priorities straight and just focus onto the season. And hopefully, I avoided getting hurt. Because ang hirap ma-bounce back nung time na yun kasi parang sobrang taas din ang expectations ko sa sarili ko.
No regrets shaving your head that season? I think that was the season you shaved your head, right?
But I still blame because of the ankle. It all started from that ankle. We started off. The bet was if we lose to LaSalle, and I think we played NU to begin the season, FEU at the second with Terrence. We lost overtime, and then LaSalle on the third. So lose 0-2. I didn't play the second game because I just tried it out, and the first game couldn't. Missed the second one, missed the third one, LaSalle. And then right before the LaSalle game, it was when Ryan Buenofe was like, pag matalo tayo dito, kalbo tayong lahat. Okay, we lose. Yeah. Next thing we know, in practice, we had 2 barbers out there in practice just shaving our heads off. And it didn't look good. And I feel like, it still haunts me to that day every time I would, every now and then, see myself on Facebook with that photo.
Was that the only time you ever shaved your head?
I grew up with that hairstyle. Okay. And also one time, I think this is a funny story. I was in grade 7. I had that, the mohawk. That was the
thing.
Trademark.
You had it even in the back.
That was a trademark. So I come in grade 7, had the long hair, and then grade 7, I tried out for the juniors on my first year, and I go to Coach Jamaic. It's like, ayos yung buhok mo ah. Sabi niya. And then I took it the wrong way, bro. Like, I took it the wrong way. Next practice, I shaved it up.
Grabe. Na ano ka na, psych out ka ni Coach Jamaic.
Coach Jamaic, you know. Yeah, I think that was the first time, and then the last time was like shaving my head in college, which was terrible idea.
That third year, Keith, was kasi pagkatapos ng back-to-back nyo yan the last of the five beat, then the third year, your team, and then you bounce back stronger because your last 2 years, you were the MVP of the UAAP. All right, so I'm gonna take a shot.
Let me take a shot for that one.
Wait.
Oh, we have one more question for you. All right.
Save this last one. Save this last one. Actually, you know what?
Have to save it up.
Let's take it together. The last one.
Take it together, the last one.
Okay, this is the last one, pare. Okay, so I have been covering Kiefer Ravena since he was in high school.
It's a long time.
Classic games. One of my core memories is lagi silang magkalaban ni Baseramer.
Yeah.
He was still a very good friend of yours.
Oh, yeah.
Baseramer, you guys
100%.
go way back, man.
Way back. And I'm the best man for his wedding, so.
Wow, awesome. And then again, you're getting married soon, so congrats in advance. Keith, ang dami mong na-shoot na game winner sa buong buhay mo, pare. I remember your mom, Mosey, who's also my broadcast partner in volleyball, she would tell me na sometimes you would go home and they would ask, oh, kamusta yung laro mo? Okay lang, na-shoot ko yung game winner. It reached a point, pare, na wala lang sa'yo yung mga game winner. Pero, sa dami ng na-shoot mo na game winner, saan ka mas kinabahan? Sa mga game winners na yon or nung nag-propose ka sa Japan sa soon-to-be wife mo na si Diana Maki?
Well, 100%. It was about that. Hey, I'll tell you a story after this. Take a shot.
Let's take a shot, brother.
For
Let's
that.
take a shot.
For,
Let's take a shot.
healthy relationships and happy marriages.
Yep. That was good.
Tumatapang to ah.
Man, tubig.
No, yeah. Just to answer your question, nakakatawa kasi yun. Parang, so whole story, hired a few videographers, si Aki, si Jim, who all worked in Japan as sideline photographers. And nakakatawa doon kasi nung pinaplan namin yun, sobrang excited kami. Nung dumating na yung araw, na alam na namin kasi we went to the spot where I was gonna propose, did an ocular see where I would do the kneeling down. Had the bullet points on my phone. Prepared. I prepared for it like I was gonna speak to our corporate event. You know, bullet points on things that I would want to say. And we were together. She was there. We celebrated my birthday a couple days before. October 30th comes. That's when I proposed. We go to Shinjuku. These photographers acted like, street photographers in TikTok and things like that. No clue. Diana had no clue. And up until we were there crossing the street wherein we had to go around, because the last go around, the cue was, smile kayo pang end game. Ganon. Yun yung cue. So I know when to kneel. Alright, so I know when to kneel, ask the question. But we had to cross the street, take a left where I was gonna propose. Okay, so lo and behold, I go there. As soon as the lights turn red and we're green on the crossing, I crashed out, blacked out. I just knelt. I was kneeling down right there, and then you could hear sa video ng photographer ko, no, maririnig mo talaga, not there. So they were just stuck there because I was already kneeling down. And they just had to take pictures and video. And first thing I said was hi. The speech was impromptu. Didn't say a word with anything that I wrote in my phone.
No more bullet points.
Scratched it out. And the worst thing was, the ring was facing me the whole time. So, wala na akong naintindihan. All I can remember during that instance was like, will you marry me? And it didn't actually help, wherein it probably took like 2 or 3 minutes for her to answer, which felt like 3 hours for me.
Wait, 2 or 3 minutes?
Yeah, like, kasi hindi na kami nakatawid eh. Okay. Kasi diba dapat tatawid kami. So nandun lang kami sa sidewalk. So we weren't like really bothering the cars and everything. You know, we were there, and then felt like 2-3 minutes felt like 2 hours for me, and I was just like, are you even gonna answer? It's like, all right. And then she whispered and nodded, and then medyo nabunutan na ako ng tinik doon, and then nung tapos na kaming lahat, when everything was settling down, parang sinabi niya sa akin, pwede mo bang ulitin yung sinabi mo sa akin? Sabi ko, hindi ko na maulit yun. Wala na akong maalala. So, wala na akong maalala, hindi ko na nasabi. So, totoo talaga yun. Pag nandun ka na sa moment na yun, makakalimutan mo na lahat. And I felt like I was able to speak from the heart and say what I really wanted to say, despite having the bullet points. Felt like really genuine. And here we are, couple weeks away from getting married and hitched.
Would you say that was the biggest shot you've ever made in your life?
Yes, I would say that was the biggest shot that I ever made, and I'm living with it. That's it. That's
Congratulations,
it.
brother.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Pinoy Step Podcast is brought to you by Arena Plus Network, your ultimate fast break to NBA action. Stay updated with the latest takes by subscribing to the Arena Plus Network and Pinoy Step Podcast YouTube channel. Listen and rate us on Spotify and Apple Podcast. Your support is like a perfect assist. It helps keep the show going. Sama-sama sa Arena. So once again, we'd like to say thank you so much sa lahat ng mga nakinig at nanood. This has been, I would say, the best episode that we've had here on the Pinoy Step Podcast dahil hindi lang basketball ang pinag-usapan natin kasama ang ating special guest na si Kiefer Ravena, kundi buhay. Marami tayong nakuhang mga lessons that I'm sure we can all use in our daily lives. Kief, we want to say thank you so much for, really getting in your feelings, getting very honest and sharing untold stories and just giving your unfiltered take with regards to basketball and life. So, man, I guess to end this episode, 12 days out, pare.
Oh.
How are you feeling? And
first of all, I would like to thank you guys for inviting me here sa Pinoy Step. Like what you said, it's been a while since we actually saw each other. Yeah. Now that's nice to talk about not just basketball, because we all know, we both have basketball minds and love the game. It's nice to talk about life in general. Bring back a lot of stories in the past where we all started.
Yeah.
And like what you said, 12 days away from locking it in. It's been fun. It's nice to know that you're actually going into a journey with someone that you really love and someone that you really care for. Knowing that both of you are going to make mistakes, and as long as you guys do it together, it could be fun. So that's something that I really look forward to. I always joke around and tell to my fiance, for now, Diana, sabi ko sa nila, I saw this on TikTok saying that, marriage is just a walk in the park. But they never told you it's Jurassic Park. So I'm ready for all the adventure, good times, bad times. And finally, you're able to be with the right person at the end of it all. So it's nice to finally enter that chapter in my life.
Yeah.
So yeah,
I'm very excited for you, man, and I'm sure all of your fans, lahat ng mga nagmamahal sa'yo, are very excited as well and wishing you all the best. And kung meron mang isang tao na sabi mo Jurassic Park, I mean, you've been through Jurassic Park, you've been through Triassic Park, and all of the, crazy situations in your life. But here you are, still you, and I'm sure whatever challenge you and Diana will face in the future, you'll be able to get through it.
Yeah.
Kiefer, maraming salamat.
Appreciate it, partner. Good to see you.
Kiefer Ravena, still the Phenom after all these years, here with us on the Pinoy Step Podcast. Sa lahat ng mga nanood, we want to say thank you so much for your continued support, and we will see you next time in the next episode of the Pinoy Step Podcast. Sama-sama sa Arena.
Thanks for listening to today's exciting conversation on the Pinoy Step Podcast. Kung nararamdaman mo yung drive, yung passion, at yung hustle, huwag mo lang itago. Suportahan ang paborito mong teams by going to arenaplus.ph. Be part of every win and every milestone. Until the next episode, take care and keep cheering. See you at arenaplus.ph.
The views and opinions expressed by the podcast creators, hosts, and guests do not necessarily reflect the official policy and position of Arena Plus Sportsbook, the hosts of the program, or other programs of the network. Any content provided by the people on the podcast are of their own opinion and are not intended to malign any religion, ethnic group, club, organization, company, individual, or anyone or anything.